Hello, everyone. Hi. Yep. Hello. This is art. 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 This is not art. This is not art. This is not art. This is not art. This is art adjacent. Quite like this one. It's not art. This is not art. Are you confused? Well, don't worry. So was I when I started researching today's subject. Because did you know that thanks to a US legal case, at one point in time, video games as a whole were categorically considered not to be art?
Doesn't any of this bother you?
Now, when I say video games and art in the same sentence, you're likely going to think of, well, games like these. You know, big, beefy ones with huge narratives, emotional through lines that never skip leg day, and of course, titles that have unique and interesting art styles. Side note, I hope that my editor included the PS2 game Hurdy-Gurdy in that run of games just there, because that is my personal Mona Lisa.
I did use it, and it upset me deeply.
With extra moans, if you catch my drift. However, did you know that thanks to a US legal case, at one point in time, video games were categorically considered not to be art? Objection! Now, this all stems from the case between America's Best Family Showplace Corporation and the City of New York, which came to a head on June the 22nd, 1982. You see, around this time, New York City began passing zoning restrictions that placed huge limitations on where arcades could be placed. Now, arcades were already battling negative press at the time, being cited as harbingers of crime and places that promoted gang culture. And this, well, it further pushed them into the realm of an undesirable aspect of society. Therefore, the owners of America's Best Family Showplace Corporation decided to push back against the new laws by, well, suing the City of New York, stating that arcades should be protected as examples of free speech and art based on the idea that video games are a valid form of expression. Therefore, the arcade should be allowed to stay where they were. However, the law saw things kinda differently and rejected this argument, instead resting on the verdict that video games, in their current form at least, held no communicative content and were therefore not protected by the First Amendment. So here, at this exact moment, video games were categorically not art, and not even the mighty barrel-throwing biceps of Donkey Kong could strong-arm the legal system into changing their minds. In fact, several other cases across the 80s and 90s also saw judges side with the idea that at best, video games were entertainment and little else. In fact, it wasn't until June the 27th, 2011 that video games apparently began communicating in a language that the law understood, with the Supreme Court ruling in the case of Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association that video games now did constitute protected speech under the First Amendment. Labelling them alongside books, plays, and movies as forms that convey social messages and ideas. Wait a minute. 2011? That's crazy, right? I mean, you had games like BioShock, Shadow of the Colossus, Silent Hill 2, Deus Ex Machina, Rez, Killer 7, The Intruder, LSD Dream Emulator, Metal Gear Solid, Championship Bass for the PS1, and goddamn Chrono Trigger already in existence. And it still took US courts this long to slap the rubber seal of, yeah, I guess this actually is art on the matter? Even beyond the games themselves, what about when Jetpack took home the first ever Golden Joystick Award for Game of the Year, which was, as you all know, an award that was voted on by fans and critics alike? Or what about in 1983 when the Corkonian Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. unveiled a new art exhibition titled Artcade, which celebrated the form of video games in an art gallery and was done, you know, by actual members of the artistic community. It's incredible to think that the legal system just didn't see these examples as video games communicating, and it took nearly 30 years to be properly recognised as art. I tell you, it should be illegal, that level of slander and mistreatment. But there we have it, my friends. June the 27th, 2011. The exact moment, apparently, that video games became art. At least in the eyes of the law. Let me know at what point you think video games began to say something meaningful and artistic down in the comments section below. I'm sure that there's a fair few old head gamers like myself that definitely think that maybe it happened, let me carry the one here, yeah, before 2011, and we'll likely have some great stories to talk about. And I do want to say as well that this video originally was actually far longer and much more complicated as I went into the whole idea of what video games and art and their relationship were, and it was quite messy to say the least. However, if you do find that that is something you would like to see, this long form beast as it were, well, let me know down in the comment section below as well, and I'll see if I can drag it kicking and screaming from the vault. It is an ugly, terrifying thing, but fun to do though. And if you want to chat to me on the social medias, you can do so by going over here where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0 on both Instagram and Blue Sky. And you can follow my lovely and ever patient editor over on their social medias over here as well. But before I go, my friends, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about video games as art, you know what else is a piece of work and a priceless one at that? It's you, my friends. So treat yourself like that absolute masterpiece that I know you are. You deserve happiness, love, and success. We all do as human beings on this crazy little planet that we've got here. So treat yourself well. Start each and every day by just reminding yourself that you are a massive ledge, because you deserve the best. And don't let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? Now get out there and smash your life goals. I believe in you, my friend, and you need to believe in yourself as well. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.